Today, we're going to simply do a drain and fill on the transmission on this ProMaster van. In the past, I did a full transmission service. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It was step by step. If you follow it, anybody can easily do their transmission service themselves. But today we're just going to do a drain and fill, which is extraordinarily simple. When we did the full transmission service, we put in a pan that had a drain, so it'll make it really easy. Now, I'm changing this transmission fluid after only about 15,000 miles. You've got to understand that I know the tough conditions that this transmission has had. We have traveled up and down the mountains of Montana, Wyoming, all the way to Oregon and back to the Orlando area. So it deserves a little tender loving care. And you have to also understand this isn't just a van, it's kind of my second home. Now, when we did the full transmission service, we created a dipstick that would show us the exact and proper level for the transmission service. So we know we have exactly the right amount of transmission fluid in the transmission. Now, what I drain out is what I'll put back in. But of course, because I want to be sure, I'll use my little zip tie here that we made to be sure that we have the proper transmission fluid in the van when we're done. So, here we go. So if you look under the hood, right down below where the overfill is for the antifreeze, you'll see the transmission fill cap. Now I put the white zip tie right next to it so you can see it, and in a moment you're going to see me take it off. So from underneath the van, I can see it's right here, and just reach up, twist it counterclockwise, lift it out. And this right here is the cap I just took out. By taking that out, it'll allow that transmission fluid to flow very easily. So under the van, you'll find the drain bolt for the transmission. That's a 14mm bolt. So you loosen that up. Make sure you get your pan underneath. And you just let it drain. Now, we're going to let this drain, but we're not going to get all the transmission fluid out. There's still going to be transmission fluid up inside there. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to drain and fill this more often. It's because you can't get all the fluid out. Now, as I look at this transmission fluid, it looks really good. But I know the effort and the amount of heat that this thing must have generated. I'm sure it is worn on that transmission fluid. Alright, it's slowed down enough for me. Put the bolt back in, tighten it up so that I don't have to actually come back down here again except to put the cap back on. Of course, when I was doing that pouring, the battery died in the camera. So, as long as, you kind of get the idea, as long as we put back what we took out, we'll be in good shape. Now, in the full service transmission video that I did, I made that dipstick. So I will, of course, measure after it's at operating temperature and running. I will measure the transmission fluid to be sure that this is correct, because some evaporation may take place. So now we take our new transmission fluid and measure it, and then put that back in the transmission. So I'm going to mark on this container where I'm at, and also on this container where I'm at, and we'll put PM for Promaster for Promaster. You can see on this one I've got the Kia Forte, the Elantra, and on this one I've got a Mazda. So I've done this for several vehicles. Okay, now that I got those marked, I can pour this off into this container that I'll take to a local auto parts place, and they will dispose of it for me. All right, now we're going to put the new transmission fluid right up to that line. Now this is, of course, ATF4 Mopar. It's exactly what the manufacturer calls for. Close, close, close. Very close. I'll let the bubbles settle out of that one. Might need a touch more. Move over to this one here. Got my mark down there. Once you know it, I'm just a little bit short. I need a little bit more. So this is 5 liters or 1.3 gallons. So I need to go pick up another one. Be right back. All right, got the next one here. Right up to that line. And ooh, that was too much. That was too much. All right. So that is what has to go back in the van, and we should be back where we were with nice, new, fresh transmission fluid. What I use is this funnel right here with this little attachment, and by putting those two together, this end fits right inside that fill. I'll attempt to put a link in the description for this little funnel combination. It might help you out. So this goes right down here. And it will fit right in that drain. Let's see if I can show you that. So if you take a look, this will go right down and fits right in that fill right there. And it fits perfectly. And It makes it really easy to fill. Then I simply pour the transmission fluid nice and slowly. Make sure there's no dripping at all, because we want the precise amount. And I will let that sit for a few minutes and let all the fluid drain from the funnels and let it settle in. And then we'll put the cap on. Okay, that sat for quite a while. If you're doing this, these are just windshield wiper fluid containers from Walmart. I hang on to these and I use them for multiple vehicles. So handy to have. And then the funnel, gonna have to get a cloth for that. And I simply pull the funnel out quickly and see there's these ridges. So some of the fluid does collect in there a little bit because it's not smooth. And we take this apart. And we put those away for the next time. Highly recommend some gloves. Transmission fluid smells terrible. It's worse than oil. So you really don't want it absorbing into your hands. I don't like wearing these, but I also don't like scrubbing and trying to get the odor and dirt and debris off my hands. Then don't forget to put the cap back on. So that's it. That's the drain and fill for the ProMaster transmission. Doesn't matter what kind of van you have, changing the transmission fluid more often is not going to hurt anything as long as you're sure you put the proper amount of transmission fluid in. And in my earlier video, when I did a full transmission service, remove the pan, remove the filter, I showed you how to make a dipstick from a long zip tie to measure the transmission fluid level. Please take a look at that video on how to make that and how to properly measure your transmission fluid. It's different than measuring your oil. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll watch my other videos. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.